everyone. I'm delighted to be joined by the new Nevada State Ladies Champion, Christina Gollins. Congratulations, Christina.
Thank you so much.
Did you get two trophies? I saw two trophies in the photo there. Did you get two for that win?
There were two, as well as like a swag bag and a bunch of like bedazzled like gifts and hats and books, and it was great.
Oh man. Oh wow. Very nice. Um, so just a bit of background on Christina. A lot of people in poker will know Christina, particularly in the US. I think I first played with you in 2020 during the dark days of COVID in Vegas when I was living over there during COVID. And I think, if I'm correct, we chopped a small Venetian tournament three ways with someone else back then as well.
We
Um,
did.
so I got the humble brag in there. But yeah, that was back in the dark days of COVID. So when I was looking at your Hendon mob, you've obviously racked up a huge amount of great cashes. But the earliest one I see is 2020. Is that when you first started playing?
The tournament we played together was the very first tournament I played that was a recorded tournament, if that makes sense. So prior to that, I had been playing tournaments in LA at the Commerce in Hawaiian Gardens, and they were just dailies and they didn't get reported to Hidden Mob. So the first time we played together was like my very first recorded cash ever. How embarrassing.
I'm pleased to have been there. So how did you first get involved in poker over in LA then?
So I grew up in Orange County. So I've been playing for about 9 years, and it all started with my best friend, who's also a female, forcing me to play a house game. And I was very disinterested. And then after being forced to play and realizing how much fun it was and how much live tells and body language had to do with it, I was immediately hooked and then started playing cash, actually. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask what about the game was it that attracted you to it? It sounds like a lot of the sort of physical stuff that really appeals to you.
Yeah, at the time I was fresh out of studying psychology in college. And so the game I realized was just a lot of psychology involved. And then I realized, oh my God, I can make money based off knowing if men are lying to me. This is great. I'm so good at this.
Oh man, I feel seen.
Yeah.
No wonder you always beat me in every part, Christina. Do you think, yeah, what about the other way around? Do you think poker's given you any skills that you can use in day-to-day life?
I've gotten really good at being like a human lie detector, basically. But other than that, um, not really. I mean, I become a lot less social.
Oh, really?
I mean, for a lot of reasons, just because, it takes up so much time. I'm just so tired. I just don't go out anymore. But other than that, I'm so used to now sitting shoulder to shoulder with a stranger and not saying a word for 12 hours and it being comfortable. And so
Yeah.
now, like, I just, everyday things, when I go to like a restaurant or whatever, I'm just not that chatty. And I feel like I'm like so much more awkward now as a
Oh,
person.
really?
To be
I mean, we do get chatty players as well, right? But some people like to be sort of quiet. They'd say we do get a range of characters, right? Because obviously, everybody you get all walks of life at the poker table, right? So one of the things I'm doing with my brand Binq is trying to make the game more accessible to different people in society, get more people interested in the game. Because as we both know, anyone can play this game, right? You don't have to be in a certain physical shape or a certain gender or ethnicity or whatever. So, I think it's really accessible for everybody. I think one group that's certainly underrepresented in the UK and maybe in Europe is females. Can you talk a little bit about your perspective on females in the US playing poker, whether it's changed since you first started playing or not?
Yeah, so not a lot has changed since I first started playing. Obviously, it's super rare for me to see a woman at the table. But I do think that there are a lot of groups now out there, like Power Poker, and a lot of women's events that are really nice. I think the one I just played, for example, their annual, they get a bunch of just ladies out there. No men can play, and I think it helps women get their feet wet. and helps them to try to get some experience in live poker, because I think that if they're a little shy and intimidated, a lot of them just play online
Mm.
to start. So uh, those groups help a lot, but it's still super rare to see women these days. Still.
Yeah, I agree. I think the numbers changed a little bit, but it's still like I would say certainly less than 10%, So, normally we have 9 players at a table, and if I would definitely say you don't have one at every table in a poker tournament at the moment, so it's definitely less than 10%. Do you think you mentioned some of the great groups? Obviously, there's like the Flip tournament as well, that's doing great stuff. Is there anything else that the community can do to improve it, do you think?
It's really tough, and it's kind of a loaded question, but as far as the community, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people set in their ways, and there's a lot of people that just have this deal with it mentality. And aside from just women, I think that a lot of people in general have some underlying social anxiety. So it's not just women that get intimidated by, getting their feet wet in poker. It's men too. And I think that a lot of people just need to give a little bit more grace to newer players and newer dealers. I mean, they're people that have been playing the game for years and years, and they just roll their eyes when someone makes a mistake, or they're just so bothered by it. And it's funny because you'll still see that in higher levels too. So I mean, it just is what it is at this point. And my best suggestion to women is honestly just play online at first.
Yeah,
Get your
yeah.
feet wet online. Yeah, know your positions, know your big blinds, so that when you go to play live, you're not a fish like me and you have to be reminded to put in your big blind ante every single time. It'll help.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, we all still make mistakes. I've been playing about 15 years. I'm still making rookie mistakes all the time. So I think you make a really good point. It's people don't need to worry about making mistakes because everyone makes them, and no one's there sort of judging you. Everyone's really focusing on what they're doing. So I think that's a key point, and online's a good place to start.
Yeah.
You think there's any other advice you could give people who are maybe thinking of coming to play, but they're like, I'm a bit nervous, or I don't know where to play, or I don't know the rules? Do you think there's any other advice we can give these people?
Um, Aside from playing smaller, I think that playing smaller is much less intimidating. Also, getting a coach or a mentor when you start is really helpful, or just like a group
Yeah.
that you can trust that know poker a lot, because I feel like a lot of people, get their advice from other recs, which is not the best thing to do. I think that you really need to, even if it costs money, get a coach, a cheap coach, who cares? Just someone who knows how to play poker and can give you really valuable and good advice.
Mhm.
Also, don't start super high. A lot of people just, look at these superstars and they're just like, I want to be on TV. I want to play what they're playing and stuff. Play what's comfortable at first. Play small. My path was a little unconventional. I took a very accelerated path because I wanted to get really good really fast. And so instead of playing micros and lows for live poker, I played low to mid stakes, which was a complete investment. I went in there knowing that I was going to lose for the first 2 years. And every single time I played, it was not to win. It was just to learn. I wanted to play with better players. I wanted to not pick up bad habits, and it worked. But you do need to save quite a bit before getting there. I invested probably 50,000 my first couple of years trying to just learn live.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Starting small, and there's no substitute for actually playing. I think also there's a lot of great content available online for that you can learn. Like some of the best players in the world, people like Phil Galfond, who's one of the best coaches and probably the most expensive coaches in the world. He puts out loads of free content on YouTube, right? So you can learn a lot of stuff from these guys for free. But certainly discussing with other poker players is really important, I think. Have you? I mean, poker for me is like there's a lot of great people. There's a lot of fun to be had. Have you got any fun anecdotes you can share with us from the poker tables in Vegas or LA?
Um,
Putting you on the spot.
I know, right? There's so many. I mean, I gotta narrow it down. Give me something to narrow it down. I mean,
Uh, no, I don't want to. No, just like if there's any sort of amusing incidents at tables, or I don't know.
yeah. Well, I'll say my very first tournament ever was how I met my boyfriend currently, and that was 8 years ago because I started in cash. And I was a total fish. And this was, I think, at Commerce. It was a daily. I think the buy-in was like 150. I had to be told by him because he was right to my left, every single orbit to put in my big blind, my big blind ante. I asked why every single time. Like, I already paid this. I was so bad. And he was so nice at the table, never took advantage, and just like nudged me every single time. Hey, put in your ante. You already put in your big blind, but you gotta put in your ante again. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so like when I think back about those moments, I have so much grace for new players because
Yeah, yeah,
I know how I was in the beginning. I was probably so annoying because I could just like I see everyone rolling their eyes at me, and I'm just like, what? I'm not doing anything wrong. And then when I do like signals, like blackjack signals, where I go to like stay,
okay,
when I mean to like
yeah,
check, oh
yeah.
my God.
I'll take a card. I'll take a card.
Yeah. So this is where I started.
I love it, but I mean, that's a great, a great thing to be said for your boyfriend to have done that. Like, obviously made you feel comfortable, and now look, it's a great testament that you guys are still together to this day. So, again, lots of really really good people in poker. And speaking of good people in poker, so one of the things I'm doing with, and I'm not saying I am, but one of the things I'm doing in with my new business is to raise money for charity through poker, through giving a percentage of wins. And I've been speaking to a few players in the UK about this, and a lot of people are really on board with it, more than I kind of expected. So I'm looking forward to doing some charity stuff. And I just on your Instagram over the last couple of years, I've seen you've done some really cool charity stuff, and I know some poker players have kind of been involved, sponsored you and stuff. Can you give us an idea of any of the cool charity things you've done?
Sure. So 2 years ago, Elvis and I decided to donate a Disneyland trip to kids at a foster home called Orangewood, which is in Orange County in California. It is the largest foster home in California. So that's why we chose that one. It's also close to home. He grew up in LA and I grew up in Orange County. So I'm very familiar with this organization. They're very good people. They work really hard. And so we decided to bring, at the time, they were holding 50 kids. We took all 50 kids to Disneyland, hooked them up with a $50 gift card each so
Wow.
that they could buy some souvenirs, get some dessert. We also paid for their meals, their transportation. They had a blast. We could not go with them because of privacy reasons. And so instead, we were able to just get some pictures.
I was going to
See
say,
their
that's amazing. I was going to say, how did you keep an eye on all 50 kids? But it sounds like there was a number of people doing that.
Yeah, they were able to hook us up with some volunteers from their site, and I think they had like 6 chaperones for all 50 kids, and it was wild. But they said that the kids had a blast, and a lot of them grew up in Orange County, always heard about Disneyland, always saw the place, drove by it, never knew what it was about, never been there. Some kids were 18 already, almost about to be 18,
Wow.
have never been to Disneyland. And so it was really heartfelt. We got some thank you letters back. It was great. So last year, we got some great feedback from the poker community saying that they wanted to be involved. So we allowed this to be a little bit more public last year. We paid for the admission, but a lot of people wanted to be involved in the gift card. So instead of a $50 gift card, we got enough people to beef it up to 200 a person. And so they were able to get everything they wanted, because the first time around they were like, I had to pick between an ice cream and a teddy bear. Disneyland's expensive. So now they don't
Oh,
have to
wow.
pick.
So,
Get whatever you want.
so it's bigger. Oh, that's amazing work. Like that's congrats to you and obviously everyone else who got involved most recently. But that's really really sweet. Um, and then I wanted to finish on the question I always ask everybody. If you could play heads up, and heads up means against, I know you know, Christina, just for anyone else watching, heads up means one-on-one with somebody. You could play heads up poker against anybody ever, poker or non-poker, preferably non. Who would it be, why, and where would you play the game?
I actually thought about this question, and I thought it had to be a poker player. So I thought of my answer. So
Oh, that's okay.
my answer, my answer, I still haven't played with Phil Hellmuth, and I want to not because I idolize him by any means. It's because I want to just make him cry, and I want him to do his little like fall on the floor, crawl in between the chairs a little bit. So, anyways, I want my fantasy here is like a WSOP for a bracelet. So I want to give him as many bad beats as possible. The winning hand would be like a massive suck out. He would cry, I would get the bracelet, and that's how it would go. That's my fantasy.
I interviewed someone else last week, and his answer was also Phil Hellmuth for very similar reasons. He was like, I really respect Phil, but I really want to just see his tantrums. So
Yeah.
I mean, people in poker, everybody knows Phil Hellmuth. For those who are watching who haven't come across Phil Hellmuth yet, you will do. I'll be sharing some stuff and probably in this video. But yeah, Phil Hellmuth is going to be a popular answer, I think, and a good choice. Hopefully this summer you can make that happen.
Yeah, hopefully. It'd be great.
Awesome, Christina. I won't keep you any longer. Thank you for giving up your sunny Las Vegas morning. You can see it's pitch black here in London. It's great to see you, and I will see you in the summer. And yeah, thanks again.
All right. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye.